Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Jamunatira Bhanapchadi Jamunatira Bhanapchadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachadi Jamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivajagacharya Astatarasatasi Simad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
This is a very interesting chapter. We just finished reading about the liberation of two bad guys, Jai and Vijay. Excuse me, Jagai Madhai. Jagai Madhai. You heard of Jagai, Gaya and Vijay, right? The two gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. When the four Kumaras were trying to enter, they stopped them, and they were cursed. You should, belong in Vaikuntha, you go to the material world. So you have a choice. 3 births as demons or 4 births as devotees. We'll take the births as demons. We'll get back quicker. So that's Jai and Vijay. And those same Jai and Vijay took part in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. As Jagai and Madhai, they were born in a Brahmin family, but by bad association, they became bad. And they became really bad. They were like wild, drunkards, plunderers, burned people's houses, this and that, real bad. Fighting, carrying on like drunkards all day long. So they became delivered by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And it's a very nice chapter. The mercy of Lord Chaitanya was directed toward those two because Nityananda decided to honor Lord Chaitanya by having him deliver them. So we just finished that nice section. Now we're going to read 2 short chapters. This one is Yamaraj's Sankirtan. You know who Yamaraj is? You do? Okay. You know who Yamaraj is? Lord of Death. Yama Raj. King, the Lord of Death. And the realm of Yamaraj, he actually has several, but it's in the lower planetary regions. It's worth going into this a little bit. According to the Vedic picture of the structure of the universe, there's upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, heaven, hell, and where we are. So 7 upper, 7 lower. And below the 7 lower is the regions of hell. And the regions of hell is where Yamaraj, for people who are very sinful, they're called before the court of Yamaraj, and the decision is given by Yamaraj what their hellish planet will be. So the hellish planet is a real thin area at the very, very bottom of the universe. And that's one of the abodes of Yamaraj. So people are like afraid of Yamaraj, and rightly so. And the agents of Yamaraj, they're very frightening looking, etc., etc., etc. So I could go. There's 2 stories that I've heard. Both I accept as genuine experiences. One was an Indian man in San Diego area that entered coma. There's a longer version, but the short version is he was in a coma for days, like a long time. And it was enough time that his relatives from India came, and the devotees were there, and his, extended family and nieces and all that. They were all there. And one day he sat up right in the hospital bed. And he said, "They came." And the people in the room said, "Yes, we came." They said, No, they came. And the devotee said, "Yeah, we were here doing kirtan." He said, "No, they came." Then he described what he saw. He said 3 times they came. Then he described these very terrible looking creatures came. And I said, "I just want to be with Krishna," and they left. And they came again. I just want to. So he saw the Amadutas, because anyway. But he was saved because just before he entered coma, the leader there, GBC member Badrinayan Swami visited him and said, Mr. So-and-so, your wife is very, very wonderful, and this may be the final, departure. So you better let go of the other things and take shelter of Krishna, because you know the philosophy, because you've been around your wife. You've been. He used to drop his wife at the temple and sit in the car and wait till she came out of the temple and then take her back home. So he wasn't against Krishna, just like, anyway, he saw the Yamadutas. They came 3 times. And I said, I just want to be with Krishna. And then a Russian girl said something similar, without the details. That her father, who had never really practiced, but he heard from his daughter this and that, and something similar happened. It was a near-death experience that he survived, and he saw the Yamadutas and survived. Somehow the blessings of his daughter or something like that. I forget that detail. So it's not just like, anyway, it's anecdotal, but it's not just like that's a far-out story. The Yamadutas, you get taken to the court of Yamaraj if you've done sinful activities, and there's accountability for your sinful activities. And Yamaraj makes that decision. So this chapter is titled Yamaraj's Sankirtan. Should be nice. Text 1. Gauranga's beautiful body was filled with ecstatic love as he sweetly danced. The demigods headed by the 4-headed Brahma and 5-headed Shiva daily came and served Lord Chaitanya. Without the Lord's order, no one could see them, as they repeatedly offered service to the Lord. They watched the Lord's pastimes throughout the day, and when the Lord went to bed, they would return home. After seeing the deliverance of the 2 Brahmana demons, that's the Jagai Madhai we just mentioned, they contemplated that pastime as they joyfully departed, the demigods that visited. Such compassion is found in Lord Chaitanya's house that he delivered even such type of persons. Quote, "Today the Lord has given us the hope that we will also certainly be delivered." The demigods spoke amongst themselves in this way as they departed in great ecstasy. Yamaraj would regularly come to see the activities of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Yamaraj asked Chitragupta. You know who Chitragupta is, right? Chitragupta, in the associate of Yamaraj, he takes notes of everybody's good and bad stuff. He's the scribe. Chitragupta. Yeah, bookkeeper. He keeps the score on your bad deeds. Chitragupta. Hare Krishna. Lord Yamaraj asked Chitragupta, quote, "How many sins did those 2 commit? And what was the remedy for those sins?" You understand that the remedy means the atonement, prayaschitta. Familiar with those terms? When you do something wrong, sinful, within all religions of the world, there's a way to counteract that sin. It's called an atonement in English, or prayaschitta. Prayaschitta, atonement. So what atonement? How many sins? Chitragupta, how many sins, and what did they do to atone for those sins? Chitragupta replied, "Oh Yamaraj, listen. What is the use of such a futile endeavor? If 100,000 scribes continually recited for 1 month, they would not easily complete such a task. If you heard them with 100,000 ears, you would not hear the complete account. Your servants constantly narrate the sins of these two, and the scribes are frustrated in their attempts to record them. Your servants would always talk about the sins of these two, and they would be chastised. As a result, the servants would say, "These two are committing the sins. Our responsibility is to get them recorded. Why should you beat them? If you don't record them, we will be punished. Then why is this mountain of records there for evidence? We even shed tears for these two. How would they tolerate the reactions?" Within a moment, Mahaprabhu has freed them from all these reactions. Now, if we are ordered, we can immerse all these records. Yamaraj had never before seen such glorious deliverance of fallen souls. They were the ultimate. Yamaraj was by nature a Vaishnava and the personification of religious principles. He knows the confidential purports of Bhagavad Dharma. As soon as Yamaraj heard the words of Chitragupta, he forgot himself due to love of Krishna. He fell unconscious in his chariot, and his body lost all signs of life. His associates, headed by Chitragupta, quickly grabbed hold of him and began to cry. All the demigods were traveling in their chariots and singing the glories of the Lord. Yamaraj's chariot was not moving, however, for its occupants were filled with lamentation. After seeing the deliverance of the two Brahmana demons, everyone was glorifying the nature of that pastime. The demigods, headed by Shiva, Brahma, Shesha, and Narada, were all glorifying the deliverance of the two. Some of them had never experienced such ecstatic kirtan, and some cried after seeing such compassion. The demigods saw Yamaraj lying in his chariot, which had stopped, so they all stopped their chariots nearby. Shesha, Brahma, Shiva, and various sages headed by Narada saw that Yamaraj was lying there unconscious. They were all astonished because they did not know what had happened. Then Chitragupta explained everything to them. Brahma and Shiva realized that he was absorbed in love of Krishna, so they all chanted in his ear. On hearing the kirtan, Yamaraj got up. As he regained his consciousness, he danced like an intoxicated person. As the ecstasy of the demigods' kirtan intensified, the son of Surya, sun god, Vivaswan. Yamaraj is his son. Yamaraj is his son. The son of Surya danced in ecstatic love for Krishna. On seeing Yamaraj's dance, all the other demigods began to dance. Brahma and Shiva all danced with personalities like Narada. Hear attentively about the dancing of the demigods. It is most confidential, but it will be revealed by the Vedas. Yamaraj gave up all shyness and danced. He forgot himself in love for Krishna. Remembering Sri Chaitanya, he exclaimed, "All glories to the munificent deliverer of the fallen souls." He roared loudly, and the hairs of his body stood on end in love of God. There was no end to Yamaraj's ecstasy. He became overwhelmed and cried profusely as he remembered Lord Gauranga. On seeing Yamaraj's exhibition of ecstatic love, his associates rolled about in ecstasy. The most fortunate Chitragupta Mahesha danced in ecstasy, and his matted locks scattered. Kartikeya and Ganesh remembered the Lord's unlimited mercy as they danced on either side of Shiva. The four-headed Brahma, whose life and wealth is devotional service, danced with his associates, such as Kashyapa, Kardama, Daksha, Manu, and Brighu, who all danced behind Brahma. All these Mahabhagavatas taught the science of devotional service by becoming intoxicated in the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Surrounding Brahma, they cried and deeply sighed as they remembered the Lord's compassion. As Devarshi Narada danced by the side of Brahma, Tears of love flowed from his eyes. After realizing the Lord's unlimited glories, he became so overwhelmed in ecstasy that he forgot his Veena. Shukadeva Goswami, the beloved servant of Lord Chaitanya, knew the glories of devotional service. He danced, rolled in the dust, and offered repeated obeisances while chanting the names of Jagai and Madhai. The powerful Indra, who carries the thunderbolt and rules the demigods, reproached himself as he danced. Tears continually flowed from his 1,000 eyes, making the Brahmana's curse fruitful. Realizing the Lord's glories, Indra became most happy as he rolled about without restraint. Where was his thunderbolt? And where were his crown and necklace? This is called ecstatic love for Krishna. After seeing the display of Krishna's glories, predominating deities of the universe like Chandra, Surya, Pavana, Kuvera, Vani or Agni, and Varuna, all servants of Krishna, danced in the ecstatic love for Krishna. All the demigods danced in ecstasy and forgot who was inferior and who was superior. Although they jostled each other, they were all jubilant as they danced in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Lord Ananta danced in the company of Garuda, the son of Vinita. Thus, Adi Deva, the best of the Vaishnavas and maintainer of all, also danced in ecstasy. The demigods headed by Brahma, Shiva, Narada, and Shukadeva all danced around Ananta as he sang with his 1,000 mouths the glories of Gaurachandra, who had just delivered the 2 Brahmana demons. Some cried, some laughed, and some fell unconscious due to seeing the wonderful exhibition of the Lord. Others said, "How wonderful are the glories of Gaurachandra! How fortunate are Jagai and Madhai!" The entire atmosphere was filled with the auspicious sounds of dancing and chanting in glorification of Krishna. The sound Jaya, Jaya was heard throughout innumerable universes, thus vanquishing all inauspiciousness. The auspicious sounds were heard in the planetary systems of Patala, Marcha, and Svarga, and even surpassed the planet of Satyaloka, as nothing other than the pastime of delivering the Brahmana demons could be heard. The glories of Gauranga were clearly revealed. Almost done with this section. All the Bhagavata demigods were filled with love for Krishna as they returned to their respective abodes. They did not speak about anything other than the glories of Lord Gauranga. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra, the benefactor of the entire universe. All glories to the Lord of all planets and living entities. Please glance mercifully on everyone in the same way that you delivered the Brahmana demons. All glories to Sri Chaitanya, who, as the glorious Savior of the fallen souls, delivered the entire world. I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Okay. Sure. Welcome to Mystery. Just on Sunday, we were observing the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya. The Lord Chaitanya, according to the Vedic texts, is Krishna coming in the mood of his own devotee, showing how to surrender to Krishna, because that's the concluding instruction of Bhagavad Gita from the previous yuga. So wishing for the people of this yuga to understand how to do that, he came in the mood and in the form of his own devotee. And in part of that life of devotion, showing devotion, he began the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Krishna, chanting Krishna's name. And very lively chanting of Krishna's name he was experiencing and exhibiting symptoms of ecstasy, and that ecstasy was so compelling that others were also drawn into that same mood. So that's what it's speaking about. And Lord Chaitanya invited two of his followers to go into the public and just ask everybody you meet, without considering fit, unfit candidate, just go to every door, go to every place in every street corner, in the marketplace, everywhere, and say three things. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, Krishna is your life and soul. Just go do that and report to me at the end of the day what happened. So they did like that. In the course of doing like that, they came across two drunkards. They were like, who are those people? And they were told they're brahmanas that had become deviated by bad association. Their names are Jagai and Madhai, and there's no sin they haven't committed. They were like really bad people, burn people's houses and plunder their houses and drink wine and eat meat and carry on in a wild way and intimidate everybody, and everyone would stay away from them. That was their life. That's who they are, Jagai Madhai. So one of the two said, if they can be delivered, then Lord Chaitanya's greatness will be known by everybody. So let's try. And when they approached them, the two drunken fellows started chasing after them. So they ran and came back the next day. They came back the next day, and one of them threw a clay pot and hit him in the head. Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya was furious. He was ready to finish him. And Nityananda said, no. In this incarnation, you come not to kill demons, as you did when you were Krishna. Came to free them from their sinful bondage. So please deliver them. He said, I can't. He hit you. This fellow hit you in the head. He said, well, that fellow, he stopped him. And so one of the brothers fell at Lord Chaitanya's feet, and Lord Chaitanya said, the other one I'm not going to forgive. He was like, so Lord Chaitanya said, if you take the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda and he forgives you, then you're forgiven. So they were both forgiven. They both became ecstatic. They became cleansed instantly like that. And it was what Lord Nityananda wanted. He wanted to glorify Lord Chaitanya. When people see that these two really terrible people become saintly, everyone will understand. Just see how powerful is Lord Chaitanya. So that was fulfilled. And there's many other things that happened. That's what we were reading the last couple of days. So now this is the celestial beings celebrating that amazing mercy that was extended to these two fallen people. That's what we just read, this chapter. You know who Yamaraj is, right?
Yeah.
And so the scribe that keeps record of everyone's sinful activities, his name is Chitragupta. So Yamaraj said, these two, tell me what was the extent of their sinful actions and what they did to counteract, to atone for them. And Chitragupta said, we can't keep up. The list is too big. There's too many. It's volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes. But they've been freed from all of that, so we don't need this exercise. How did they get freed? Lord Chaitanya delivered them. And he fainted hearing this. So anyway, so that's what we just read. Now, when in Krishna's pastimes, just like in Bhagavad Gita, many demoniac kings were annihilated. Certainly Duryodhana and his brothers and all of the other people connected with him. But before that, so Krishna's business was, his business was protecting the devotees, paritranaya sadhunam, and eliminating the demoniac, vinashaya duskritam, and restoring dharma. Dharma sangstha panartaya sambhavami yuge. So yuge, from age to age, Krishna comes and does those things. But when he comes as Lord Chaitanya, he delivers them. They become elevated personalities. And this is an account of that. And we heard in this previous section, this is one example, and there's many other examples, but these are like superlative examples because they were so bad, terribly bad. So that's Lord Chaitanya. Next, chapter 15. So this is a biography that was written by one of Lord Chaitanya's devotees. His name is Vrindavan Das. And he heard all these, he didn't eyewitness all these things, but he heard all these things from those that were eyewitnesses. And they had kept diaries, etc., journals. And then he amassed this information from what they had experienced. Okay. Chapter 15, descriptions of Madhavananda's realization. It's still about Jagai Madhai. That's a big deal that they were delivered because they were so bad. See the characteristics of Gaurachandra, the Lord, who is not attained by meditation, of Shiva Shukadeva and Narada, is spending his days and nights with those who have no material possessions. In this way, Lord Vishwambar continually performed unlimited, inconceivable pastimes in Navadvip. In spite of such manifestations, some persons could not recognize him, just as the fish in the ocean cannot see the moon. Interesting metaphor. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Jagai and Madhai lived in Nadia, now as highly religious persons. Every day, in the morning, they would take bath in the Ganges and then sit in a solitary place to chant 200,000 names of Krishna. They continually condemned themselves and cried as they constantly chanted the name of Krishna. Having achieved a taste of Krishna's boundless mercy, they saw the entire world as intimately related to Krishna. They cried and fell to the ground unconscious as they remembered the violence that they had previously committed. Remembering the Lord, they repeatedly cried and exclaimed, "Oh, Gaurachandra, oh, dear deliverer of the fallen souls." Due to love of Krishna, they forgot to eat, and they would cry as they remembered the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Vishwambar and his associates continually solaced and bestowed mercy on the two. Even though the Lord personally came and fed them, they were not peaceful at heart. Particularly the Brahmana, Madhai, repeatedly cried as he remembered how he had attacked Nityananda. He's the one that threw the clay pot and hit him in the head and drew blood. Madhai. He was remembering that. It's feeling terrible. Even though Nityananda forgave all his offense, Madhai's heart was not pacified. He would condemn himself for repeatedly saying, "I made the body of Nityananda bleed. I'm so sinful that I hit the body in which Lord Chaitanya enjoys his pastimes." Madhai practically lost consciousness while remembering this. He cried day and night and could not think of anything else. Day and night, Lord Nityananda happily wandered about Nadia in the mood of a child. Lord Nityananda was by nature full of ecstasy and free of pride as he wandered throughout the city. Seeing Nityananda in a solitary place one day, Madhai fell down and grabbed his lotus feet. He washed the Lord's feet with tears of love. Taking a straw between his teeth, he began to offer prayers to the Lord. "O Lord, you maintain everyone in your form as Vishnu. You hold innumerable universes on your hoods. O Lord, you are the embodiment of pure devotional service. Parvati and Shankara meditate on you. You distribute your devotional service. There is no one more dear to Lord Chaitanya than you. By your mercy, the power of Garuda happily carries Krishna in his pastimes. You sing the glories of Krishna with innumerable mouths, and you teach everyone devotional service, the topmost religious system. Narada Muni sings your glories, for your only asset is Lord Chaitanya. You are known as the chastiser of Kalindi, River Jamuna, the pastime. No? When Krishna and Balaram were living in Dwaraka, Balaram was continually encouraging Krishna, go back to Braja. They're missing you so much. It's too much. They may not be able to maintain their lives. Please go. And Krishna didn't go. There was reasons, but Krishna didn't go. So Balaram finally went. So Balaram spent a good amount of time in Vrindavan. And while in Vrindavan, he was enjoying pastimes. And one evening when he was enjoying pastimes, he was drinking a particular beverage called Varuni. And when he was drinking this beverage called Varuni, he was got a little tipsy. And so he called the river Jamuna to come so he could become cleansed in the waters of the river Jamuna. And she saw this wild person and didn't come. So he took his plow, Balaram took his plow and started pulling Jamuna towards him. And then she realized, uh-oh. And so another name of the Jamuna is Kalindi, the pastime of Balaram, Kalindi. And she offered prayers. It's in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. You are known as the chastiser of Kalindi. By serving you, Janaka achieved transcendental knowledge. You know who Janaka is? Sita's father, King Janaka. You are the primeval Lord and the personification of all religious principles. You are addressed by the Vedas as Adi Deva. You are the father of the universe and the master of mystic yoga. You are Lakshmana, the great archer. You are the destroyer of the atheists, the enjoyer of transcendental mellows, and the teacher by example. You know all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Mahamaya became worshipable by serving you. Innumerable universes desire the shelter of your lotus feet. You are the devotee of Lord Chaitanya and the personification of pure devotional service. You possess all the potencies of Lord Chaitanya. You are Lord Chaitanya's bed, throne, couch, and umbrella, and you are his life and wealth. Now these are expansions of Balaram. It is said that in scriptures that Balaram so much enjoys serving Krishna that one of the services he performs is he expands as Lord Ananta, and Lord Vishnu reclines on the couch of Ananta. But that's in the spiritual realm. And in Krishna Loka, he manifests as the bed and the shoes and the umbrella and the paraphernalia. That's Balaram's expansion. Just like over there in the corner, there's a mridanga, and that's an expansion of Balaram. Paraphernalia used in Krishna service is expansion of Balaram. So, you serve the Lord in all these ways. There is no one more dear to Krishna than you. You are the source of all of Gaurachandra's incarnations. O Lord, you deliver the fallen souls and you kill all the atheists. You protect all the Vaishnavas and you teach the principles of Vaishnava Dharma. By your mercy, the demigod Brahma creates. You are served by Revati, Varuni, and Kanti. Now, these are two wives. Revati was one of the wives of Balaram. Revati was one of the wives, and Varuni was one of the wives. It's a long description. Balaram married Revati before Krishna married Rukmini. Maharudra incarnated from your anger. Through him, you annihilate the entire creation. Now, all of this has commentary. We're just reading the verses. Commentary is really rich and interesting, but we can't do everything, so we're just reading the verses. If there's some question about some of this, please, at the end we can discuss. Rudra, who is non-different from Shankara, appeared from the face of Sankarshana. Rudra, who is non-different from Sankarshana, appeared from the face of Sankarshana and devours the three worlds through the fire of time. Even though you do everything, you do not do anything. You hold the Lord of innumerable universes within your heart. Krishna enjoys sleeping on your extremely soft and pleasing form. I attack such a transcendental body, so there's no one more sinful than me. Throughout his life, Shiva worships this form with Parvati and 100 million ladies. By remembering this form, one is freed from all bondage, yet I made such a form bleed. Maharaj Chitraketu became the topmost Vaishnava and enjoyed great happiness by serving this form. Unlimited universes meditate on this form, yet I'm so sinful I attack this form. By serving this form, sages, head by Sanaka, became free from the bondage at Naimisharanya. Indrajit and Dvidvida were both vanquished because they attacked this form. Jarasandha was destroyed because he attacked this form. How can I have any auspiciousness after attacking such a form? What to speak of attacking this form? Simply by insulting it, Rukmi, the brother of Krishna's wife, lost his life. Even though Romaharshan, so this is, all these are Puranic stories. And it's just mentioning and then moving on to the next one. I'm sure that purports are very long, very detailed. Even though Romaharshan Sutta was one of Vyasadev's disciples. When Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into 4, he entrusted each of the Vedas to some sage. And when he came to the Puranas, he entrusted the Puranas to Romaharshan Sutta. And Romaharshan Sutta's son was Sutta Goswami, who narrated the Bhagavatam. All these names, they're a little difficult if you're not familiar with the Puranic stories. But he's connecting Nityananda as being intimately connected, intimately related with these various activities on behalf of the Supreme Lord. Okay. Even though Romaharshan Sutta received a duration of life as long as that of Lord Brahma, he was burnt to ashes because he did not rise on seeing you. King Duryodhana and his dynasty were almost destroyed for insulting you. By the arrangement of providence, great devotees like Kunti, Bhishma, Yudhishthira, Vidura, and Arjuna, who all understood your desire, were present there. The city of Hastinapur was saved by their words of solace. Another Balaram pastime. By insulting you, one's life is finished. So, where will a most sinful person like me go? While offering prayers in this way, Madhya floated in an ocean of love. He fell down and took the Lord's feet to his chest. One will never be destroyed if he takes shelter of these lotus feet, which manifest to deliver the fallen souls. Dear Lord, please deliver this fallen soul. You are Madhya's life, wealth, and soul. Oh, glories to the son at Padmavati. When Lord Nityananda took his birth, his father was Hadai, Pandit, and his mother was Padmavati. So, all glories to the son of Padmavati. All glories to Nityananda, the wealth of all Vaishnavas. All glories to the blissful Lord who is free from anger. It is proper for you to forgive the offenses of the surrendered souls. I am the most sinful Chandala, like an ungrateful ass or crow. Please excuse all my offenses. After hearing Madhya's sincere prayer of love, Nityananda smiled and spoke as follows. Get up, Madhai. You are my servant. I have now manifested in your body. Does a father feel unhappy if his little child hits him? I accepted your hitting my body in the same way. Anyone who hears your prayers will certainly become devoted to my lotus feet. Since you are the recipient of my Lord's mercy, there is not a trace of fault in you. One who worships Lord Chaitanya is my life and soul. I protect such a person forever. I'm never pleased with one who sings my glories and worships me, but does not worship Lord Chaitanya. Such a person suffers birth after birth. After speaking in this way, the Lord happily embraced Madhai, who thus became freed from all distress. Grabbing the Lord's lotus feet, Madhai again spoke, "O Lord," he said, "I have one more appeal. O Lord, you reside in the hearts of all living entities and have committed violence against many of them, and I have committed violence against many of them. I do not know everyone I have hurt. If I knew them, I would beg their forgiveness. How will I get the blessings of all those whom I have offended?" It's a good question, right? "O Lord, you are kind to me, then please instruct me in this regard." The Lord said, "Listen, as I tell you the means. Construct a bathing ghat on the bank of the Ganges. When people happily take the bath in the Ganges, they will all bless you. Serving the Ganges will counteract your offenses. What could be more fortunate for you than this? Humbly offer your obeisances to everyone, then all your offenses will be forgiven." Receiving the Lord's instructions, Madhai then circumambulated the Lord and departed. Tears flowed from his eyes as he chanted the name of Krishna. Everyone watched as he built a ghat on the bank of the Ganges. People were greatly astonished on seeing this. Madhai then offered obeisances to everyone. "Please bless me and forgive me for the offenses that I have unknowingly or even knowingly committed." Seeing Madhai cry, everyone began to cry in ecstasy as they remembered Govinda. Everyone heard Nimai Pandit transform Jagai and Madhai into exalted personalities. On hearing this, everyone was astonished and said, "Nimai Pandit is not a human being. Sinful people blaspheme him without understanding. Nimai Pandit is engaged in real glorification of the Lord." Almost done. Nimai Pandit is a true servant of Lord Krishna. Anyone who criticizes him will be ruined. One who can rectify the mentality of these two must either be the Supreme Lord or empowered by the Supreme Lord. Nimai Pandit is not a mortal being. Now his glories have become manifest. The people of Madhya discussed in this way and thereafter avoided the company of those who blasphemed the Lord. Madhai performed the most severe austerities and soon became known as Brahmachari. He constantly saw the Ganges while living at that ghat on the riverbank. He took a shovel in his hand and personally worked there. Every day everyone proclaimed Madhai's ghat as the evidence of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. In this way the two became greatly glorified as the two rogues who were delivered by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. The topics of Madhya Khanda, that's this section reading from. The deliverance of the two great atheists is described as just like nectar, are just like nectar. Lord Gaurachandra is the cause of all causes. Only a cheater becomes distressed on hearing this. The topics of Lord Chaitanya are the hidden treasure of the four Vedas. Listen attentively to how and where the Lord performed his pastimes. Accepting Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. In one sense, hearing all of this is meant for an audience that already has kind of, the ABCs of Bhagavad Gita and essential texts, at least a reasonable knowledge of that. And I've been thinking as we've been going along, newer people probably feel lost. But on the other hand, it's very wonderful. And even if one doesn't have a spiritual conception of self and the supreme and so forth. Basic fundamentals of spiritual conception inside and in their lifestyle outside. The messages are interesting and they're invigorating. And purifying, because even the name, just like the scriptures teach us that within the name there's all potencies. And how much is all potencies? What's all the potencies of God? Because He's infinitely powerful, and each and every name has all those potencies inside. So by hearing the name, then you go further, and the happiness, the joy, the ecstasy of the Lord and His associates who are influenced by His ecstasy has a purifying effect. And ordinary people may go in a dismissive manner and not get such benefit. But to just by hearing, we've mentioned this several times, when Prabhupada's description of how to hear this quite extraordinary description of Lord Chaitanya and his activities, just hear and appreciate. Like, basically open your heart and let that sound vibration enter your heart. See what happens. Because it's cleansing and uplifting. His appearance primarily, as mentioned already, was to teach how to surrender to Krishna, and that one of the principal ways of awakening the how-to consciousness is through the name. And in all religions of the world, emphasis is made to the names of God, praising the names of God, hallowing the names of God, singing the names of God. And Lord Chaitanya did it. That was his method of awakening the sleeping consciousness of God consciousness. And it was done to an extreme degree. And even in people who are, difficult candidates, sinful people, are not easy candidates. Wild drunkards, not easy candidates. But their background was pious. So they knew how to behave, and when they were cleansed, they were behaving in that manner, feeling very sorry for their wrongdoings. So we're hearing two wrongdoings: the wrongdoings to Lord Chaitanya, and then the wrongdoings to everybody else. So what do we do with those things that we've done in our lives that have been hurtful to other people? Maybe knowingly, maybe not knowingly, or combination. What do you do about all that? And so the instruction given in this case was serve them. And in Navadvip, it's along the side of the Ganges River, to build a ghat, to make it easy for people to go into the Ganges and come out and take their sacred bath in the Ganges. Serve them and appeal to them for forgiveness for your wrongdoings. Render service and have a repentant heart. Even for things that we don't even know we did. There must be some things that we've done that weren't so good, and we don't even recall what they are. And how to become free from all of that. The spiritual principle is light is stronger than darkness. And spiritual principle is such light that destroys darkness, the darkness of ignorance, and which is the result of misdoings, misdeeds. So that's, so I'm sharing a little bit of what we've been reading. See if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna. You just mentioned that if you do something wrong, knowingly, unknowingly, and my thought immediately went to, I may not be feeling that I'm doing something wrong, but someone gets hurt, someone's feelings get hurt.
That happens.
What's the way to correct that when you cannot go back to that person and tell, I'm sorry? Is there a way?
Yes.
Tell me more.
Sure. That question was asked of Prabhupada. First, go the context. Prabhupada was giving teachings from Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, our nectar of devotion, and he was describing that there's consequences for our misdeeds. And when you've made some misdeed and you've hurt somebody, you go to that somebody, and you ask for forgiveness. You acknowledge that which you have done that's wrong, and you ask for forgiveness. And then some person asked, what about the people we didn't know that we did something wrong to, and they were hurt somehow? Same question. And so Prabhupada's answer was, we have this prayer that we recite that's meant for that purpose. I could recite the Sanskrit, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu Vyayevasha, Kripa Sindhu, ocean of mercy. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we offer our respects to those who are Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord, and we appeal to them for forgiveness for our wrongdoings. But since they're Kripa Sindhu, they're ocean of mercy, surely they'll be forgiving. So it's from the heart. It's not just a quick saying, cosmetic saying. No, clean, but from the heart. So the intervening person is the Supreme Lord, but it goes to the individual or individuals who we've unknowingly offended. And if we come to know that somebody has been offended, we do the needful. We apologize. And that's a big topic. Sometimes, more than sometimes, we've all had the experience that even when you're trying to do something that's consciously to be helpful or beneficial for another, they'll read it the opposite way. And when you understand that they've read it the opposite way, it's like, what? Really? Gosh. So now what do you do in those situations? When you know that you've made some transgression against them of some kind, and your intention was just the opposite, or softer, you unknowingly, I don't know, you're concerned about something, and so the expression on your face was worry or concern. You passed by them and they thought you were like not liking them, and they felt hurt because you don't like them. I've had that happen. What?
Situations can be.
When it comes to your attention that is the case, you go to that person and say, I'm really sorry that my intention wasn't that, but it was perceived by you as that, and I'm really sorry that my life impacted you in that way, but it wasn't my intention. And whatever their response is that's their responsibility. Our responsibility is you go to the person and you apologize. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was thinking otherwise. I was thinking I'm doing something beneficial, or whatever it is. You just speak honestly. And if there's not acknowledgement of that, that's not your responsibility. This is, the service department topic. At least between you and Krishna, Krishna acknowledges you made that gesture sincerely, genuinely. Not like shrug your shoulders and you don't care, but you're not responsible for their feeling good. You're responsible for your own doings, your own words and actions. And then the unknown ones, that's our method. Sincerely offering obeisances to those who are part and parcel of Krishna personalities. That's everyone. And somehow they felt you did something that hurt them. You don't want that to linger. You're requesting their merciful nature to forgive you. You're requesting to Krishna to intervene. So, anything else?
Krishna, I'm not able to meditate on Krishna or just plain meditation. Rather, I would say probably I'm not giving any time for that. So how important is it for meditation? And could I consider that the work that I'm doing is like karma yoga? So I'm okay by not meditating. I don't know if I'm making excuse.
There's a nice answer to your question is found in chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita, right? Chapter 12, Bhagavad Gita. There's a section in that chapter where Krishna says, this is topmost. If you can't do that, do this. If you can't do this, then do that. If you can't do that, do the other thing. And you do in the mood of wishing to come to a higher stage, and you'll gradually progress. And one of the stages is what you said. And here's the sequence. Two things. Mind completely absorbed, spontaneously, completely absorbed in me. Intelligence always fixed on me. That's the topmost. And if you're not there, then you can follow regulations of bhakti, and you'll get there. But supposing you say, oh, I don't know, the regulations of bhakti, they're not so easy for me. What about me? So then, work for me. So one of the regulations of bhakti is not just meditating upon, but specifically even calling the names of. Now you can call the names of Krishna while you're working, or while you're bathing, or while you're, doing your everyday things. So it doesn't require. It's best just to do it in a focused manner. But even if you're not singularly setting aside some time to do some calling of Krishna's name, mantra meditation, you can do while you're driving your car or taking a shower or, something, walking, going for a walk. People try to do that, to stay. And so, chanting Krishna's name, that's one of the regulations. If you can't do that, then try to work for me. Karma yoga. You say, oh, that's not so easy for me. Then there's something and something. So at this stage, you can read that chapter, a section of chapter 12, and it is beneficial. It's not, as I mentioned, it's not so much a time factor. It's ideal to set some time. Like you set some time to brush your teeth, set some time to make the inside clean, along with karma yoga. And it just becomes part of a routine of life, a regular activity that you do. You make your inside clean as long as you make your outside clean. And you do your work. That's a principle. And if you understand the importance of it, it's not difficult. So then commit some time. Ideal is first thing. After you make your body clean, you make your inside clean. And then you do your work. And offer the results to Krishna. That's what karma yoga is. It's not just working, but the results are offered to Krishna. We were discussing that upstairs, chapter 3. That's karma yoga. And then the principles of regulating your life, orienting it towards Krishna more. That's the regulations of bhakti. It's not difficult. You eat, so you just add one little step. You offer those foods to Krishna with devotion before you eat. And then you take Krishna prasadam. Simple and devotional. And as that is done, then the rest of the life of devotion grows. This gradually it grows. That satisfied? Yeah. Okay.
If we flip the situation which I was explaining earlier, like I hurt someone. Now flipping the situation, I felt hurt by someone's actions, and that someone is not even aware that he or she has hurt me. Is there a way how I can come out of that feeling? Having no expectations is the easiest way. Is there any prayer or any way which I can say, forgiven you, I'm moving on, and I want to be comfortable with myself?
Well, you expressed it already. It's forgiveness, and the dealing with that kind of a situation helps a lot if the mode of nature moves towards goodness, tolerance, and forgiveness and simplicity are symptoms of goodness. So as you elevate your life more in the mode of goodness, then those just are natural qualities of the mode of goodness. So I don't know if that's meaningful to you, but you practice forgiveness, you let go.
I let go, but it comes back and bites me. How do I make that let go permanent? Is there a prayer which, when I'm going through that phase, I can say, okay, this is the prayer I'm going to chant, and it's not going to bite me anymore?
But, huh? There's a thank you. There is a nice prayer. I mean, I was thinking just Mahamantra, but this is a prayer, because Mahamantra makes the heart clean, and then things don't come back and bite you when the heart's clean.
Helpful. Okay.
Yeah. So it can come back and bite you because we're not clean yet. I'm important. My ego and my pride and my this and that is important to me. That's so. But specifically, a prayer. It's found in a Bhagavad Gita purport. You want to look it up and find out where it is? Tate dukampam so samikshamano. It's a prayer. The place where it comes is Brahma's prayers to Krishna, Canto 10, Chapter 14. I think it's text 8.
Yeah.
It is found in Bhagavad Gita, 10:14. You have Bhagavatam here.
Sure.
10:14:8. You can look it up, and it's in the Bhagavad Gita purport. It's a very celebrated verse where Brahma had made a big boo-boo. He offended Krishna, and he's going to get it. Something's going to come for doing that. So he's a prayer where he's saying, let that, whatever it is, I accept that whatever it is, and I want to fix my mind exclusively on you, not just like neutralize the thing or run away from the thing or something. I want to, whatever it is, if I've done some misdeed. Or you turn it around. Someone else has done to me and I'm holding on to something. So take shelter of the personality of Godhead. So that's a nice verse. It's the same chapter, the devotional service chapter 12, 13, 14. Okay, how about you two? Anything? Nothing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, thank you. Thank you for your questions. Particularly the question that you asked was really helpful, and your answer, of course, really helped me. And I was thinking of your question too, and it's like you're holding, like I think I see it as holding on to poison, like poisoning yourself. You know, that's how the metaphor I usually think about.
I'm looking for the antidote for that voice.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for your questions. Thank you for your.
Can you ask one?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Guruji, morning every day I chant Vishnu Sahasranamam.
Oh, good.
So before I chant, I go there, sit in front of the god, think that, today I'm going to fully focus and chant starting till end. But after like reading 4 or 5 stanzas, then my thoughts go haywire. I think about my meeting, think about food and all. So how I can bring my thoughts back and focus on what I'm chanting, or focus on the God? Is there any advice you can give me?
Well, Krishna's advice is simple. From whatever and wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one should bring the mind back. So the mind is flickering, chanchala, and so it's not unique to you. We're distracted by so many things. So the bringing it back is going up from distraction to what's my purpose? Why am I sitting here chanting Vishnu Sahasranam? Because, and you reconnect with the because, the sankalpa, the intention, the purpose, and that's the force that brings the mind back. That's another way of answering your question. I do forgive, but it comes back. So why did you forgive? Well, I don't feel comfortable holding on, so I forgave. But then, keep the door closed. So it's what the power to forgive is what the purpose of forgiveness is. It's the way a person who is living by goodness lives. I make mistakes that hurt other people. I would wish that they would forgive me and not hold on to some bad feeling towards me. I wish for other people, let me act that way. If I wish from other people, let me act that way towards others. Because who's suffering from that, feeling bad? It's not the other person. It's you. So that's what she's speaking, the poison. But it's a way to live. It's a mode of goodness principle. Mode of goodness means that I do this because it's just the way to live. I don't steal because you don't steal. I don't lie because you don't lie. That's mode of goodness, because it's the way you should be. I believe in it. It's a conviction. So that's a power. Same with this question about why am I sitting down with the Vishnu Sahasranam? knowing that my mind is going to get distracted. Well, I want to bring my mind, I want to purify the mind and make the soul become enlivened towards God. So that's the strength that brings the mind back. Then you bring the mind back, and then it wanders again. You bring the mind back, and it wanders again. You can train monkeys, you can train the mind. By that practice, bring the mind back. We have some online questions? Just one?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, yesterday in Gaur Gunadesh Deepika, I read that Vibhishan became Ramachandra Puri in Lord Chaitanya's Leela.
Wow.
I was surprised to read that.
Me too.
I was thinking that the mood of the devotees stays the same from one Leela to the other. How could Vibhishan commit such an offense against Lord Chaitanya? Could you please comment?
I have no idea. No idea. But I'll ask the Ramayana folks and see if they have some idea. But it seems like, I have no idea. He surrendered. He was accepted. He was made king. So what did he do to become Ramchandra Puri? Well, he offended his spiritual master somehow. Okay.
Maybe he wasn't.
Slipped on a banana peel.
No, I'm just thinking, he was supposed to work for Rama, but he was not really working for Rama. Was that
No, he was surrendered to. He was before he was born. This because I've just spent some time on this topic. In fact, this Sunday, I'm going to be speaking for the Houston Temple on this topic. So even before he was born, Vibhishan was born, his mother was sent by her mother to go to the sage to have him accept her. So he said, surely I'll accept you, but you came in an inauspicious time, so your sons are going to be Rakshasa demons. And her reply was, I don't want sons like that. And he said, well, it's too late because you came at an inauspicious time, but your third son will be a saintly, he'd be renowned as a saintly person. So when he was born, his brothers were Rakshasas, and he was studying the Vedas. He was a pious person. And then the three brothers, Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan, they went off to do austerities. Ravan wanted, Kumbhakarna wanted to sleep, and Vibhishan wanted the benediction from Lord Ram that he would just be attached to pious activities and doing good for others. And Brahma said, so be it. And that was his life. So he was in the service, culturally in the service of his elder brother, but he was always appealing to his elder brother to strive to live by virtue. And his brother was going to finish him, so he left. Took shelter of Ram. Ram accepted him. So it wasn't just mode of goodness. It was devotion to Ram. And he assisted Ram in so many ways in the battle and the Yudhakanda and so on. And afterwards, he was sent back with the deity that was the family deity. Anyway, he was a devotee, so it wasn't just mode of goodness. So I have no idea how to explain. There may be something from the scholars, Sri Vaishnava scholars, that say something about something. But even something, it's got to be forgiven because his nature is he's a devotee. So I have no idea. No idea. Okay, we're done. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.